Hello everyone, it's Jasmine and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got two different versions of a shaker card for you, and these are using some inks and some new stamps, and let's jump right in. So I've got a sheet of Strathmore 140 pound watercolor paper, and this is it's a really good quality. It's mid-grade, so it's not too expensive. And I've just stamped all of my images down using ink on 3 blackout ink. And I like that ink because it's versatile, meaning you can use it for several different coloring mediums and it won't run. So you can use this for watercolors and Copic markers, which are the two main color mediums I use. So you can also use it for like Zig watercolors, markers, or the Arteza ink markers, those kinds of things, and it won't run. So I like it for that. And I'm not going to show you all of the watercoloring I've done just because I want to put more focus onto the backgrounds. So I'm going to speed through the watercoloring a little bit. I'm using Arteza watercolors, and I have a review up for these in a video I posted last week sometime. So if you're interested in seeing the review, I will put the link in the description box. And if you are interested in some new watercolors, the Arteza are like a mid-grade quality. They're not super cheap, but they're not super expensive. And there is a coupon code on the review video, good until November 11th. So I'm going to put a little bit of music on just while I do the painting, and then I will catch back up with you and we can talk about the rest of the card. So moving on to the backgrounds, I've done this 2 ways because this first way didn't work out quite like I expected. So I've got some Prima matte gel medium, and I'm going to mix it with some glow-in-the-dark paint. You just want to kind of shuffle those together. It's going to be kind of loose. So you will have some dimension on this, but not a whole lot. So I've got a panel of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 Bristol smooth cardstock underneath the stencil. And the stencil is, let's see, what's the title of it? Starry Sky. It's a duo stencil pack from Hue Arts. And so I've smoothed that mixture over. And then you can see little stars. Now this can get bubbles in it, so I do take my tweezers and just kind of pop the bubbles that are in there if you see any before it dries. And then here I'm going to make my own Perfect Pearls mist. So I've got a little mini mister, and this is just water I've put in there, and then I'm going to put some of the Perfect Pearls powder in here. And so I've got 4 colors of my Distress ink, and now this is where it kind of, not went wrong, but didn't behave the way I thought it would. I've got Celis Preserves and Wilted Violet original Distress ink, and then I've put some of that Perfect Pearls mist on it. And because of the stars that I put on the paper, it's not absorbing the ink as I expected it to, because the texture of the stars is creating too much distance between the surface of the glass mat and paper. So I'm going in with the same colors and an ink blending tool. And I ended up really liking how this turned out, because where the ink did get to the paper from the ink dipping process, it created a lot of cool texture. And it kind of gave it a little bit of a galaxy background look to it, which I was really excited about. And then I went in with Blueprint Sketch as well, and Chipped Sapphire, to give it a little darker, more of a night sky look to it. And I kept the Chipped Sapphire really on the edges to give it that darkness I mentioned. And so here's the second panel that I'm going to do the ink blending on, or ink dipping on rather, and then do the texture paste on top of the ink. So you're going to get more ink to paper, obviously, because there's nothing in the way. And then I let that dry, and I'm going to go in with another layer of ink, and this time I'm using Chipped Sapphire and Black Soot on this one to get a little different look to it. And this one turns out quite a bit darker, but I think that's because I used more of the Black Soot in this, where I didn't use Black Soot in the first panel we made. Another difference you'll see is that with this one, because it doesn't have the texture paste on the white paper, it's got the texture paste on top of the colored ink. The stars are a little less standoutish. if that's a word, I don't know if that's a word. But they pick up the color of the ink, so you can't really see them as well as the first panel we did. So then I'm taking my tweezers and popping the bubbles, because that's something I learned from the first one. And it's not going to ruin your card if you don't pop the bubbles. The only reason I suggest to do that is because it can catch the ink and can make it a little, the stars won't look as vibrant, is really all I'm trying to say. So I've got some circle dies, and on the second panel we did, I created 2 windows, and we're going to do a shaker with both of these. And then the first one we're doing 1 window, and the one with 2 windows has smaller openings than the one with 1 window. And the measurements on these circle dies, I wrote it down somewhere. I think I show it later on in the video. So I've got some hot off the press heat resistant acetate, which means that you have to be careful, but you can heat emboss on it. Okay, so my biggest panel is 3.5 inches, or biggest circle die is 3.5 inches. And so I've just cut a 3.5 inch square from a panel of the acetate. And I've stamped on that with some Versamark. And I'm going to go in with some Ranger Black Sparkle Embossing Powder. Now I did really generously dust this with a powder tool to kind of help with the static. So you do still have to be careful when, so 3 and 2.5 are the two smaller ones. You still have to be careful with heat embossing this, because if you do too much heat, it will warp. But I still really like it because it is resistant. So it makes it really nice to do heat embossing on your clear acetate so that you can have your sentiment on your shaker panel. So there I'm just adhering the panel to the back of the starred panel using some score tape, and then I've got some 3M foam tape doubled up and then cut in half. And when you take the paper backing off both sides, it's really flexible, so you can do this circular shape really easily. And on to some of my favorite part is adding the sequins to my shaker cards. This is 28 Lilac Lane Bold and Bright mix. This is a lot of iridescent purples and greens. And then I have some tiny itty bitty, that is the title, itty bitty, clear iridescent stars from Little Things. Or Lucy's Shop, lucys-shop.com is the website for those. And also some Starshine. And I love Lucy's mixes. They are always so pretty. And she does change them quite a bit. So if you can't find exactly what I'm using, you will find something else just as cool. And then I've just got some pattern paper that I've cut to fit. And then on that smaller circle up top, I just took some StazOn and I stamped it randomly using the little candy images from the stamp set. I didn't mention that, did I? This one is Frightfully Sweet from MFT. And I bought these stamps and dies, so I just die cut all of those from the panel. And that pretty much finished up the card. I'm just going to attach those, the little critters, using some score tape. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions on shaker cards or questions about the ink blending or the watercolors or anything like that. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. The easiest way for you to support your favorite YouTubers, not just me, but anybody you like, is to like their videos, share them, but mainly watch them. We can have, there's a glow-in-the-dark picture. I could not get these to show up on the video in the dark. You can have 1 million subscribers, but if nobody watches your videos, you're not going to kind of get anywhere with it. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will catch you guys next time, and have a great Halloween.